it's a big proof that this is the book of God.
Going off of what you said, like, there are Christian scholars who know that their book has been tampered with.
Yeah.
So if you think logically, how could you know that your religion is the truth if you know that your book has been tampered with?
Right.
It's like a lack in like logical thinking.
I think it's a block because these people also know that even like non-Muslim scholars, for the most part, probably like 99% of like historians agree that the Quran is the exact same Quran. So like they know this. Like I could see if you said, okay, well, this is the reality of all religions. All religions, their scripture no longer is its original form, and just something we're all as humanity we're struggling with. We're all doing the best we can. But if you know that there is a pathway, especially if you're Christian, it's so close to you, right? It's so close to like what you believe, and there's this other religion that's similar to what you believe. And if you study the life of Jesus unbiasedly, you're probably like, oh, this sounds like how he lived his life. You know, you have that as an option, but I think it is definitely a mental block, and probably a lot of factors in preventing that.
Yeah, even in the Bible, like there's verses I remember about how Jesus would pray, and it was almost exactly the same as how a Muslim would pray.
Yeah.
And even in the Bible, it doesn't even say that Jesus was the Son of God. That was just something that the Christian church had created. So I don't know. It just does It just doesn't make sense. Like Islam is the only truth out there. If it comes down to that, but yeah.
So Jason, you being a teacher for such a long time, right? And you have taught in public school and now
private school.
In private school, and you have taught in Bermuda, in US. I would like to ask you, with the kind of educational setup that is present in the country, in this country, what do you think is the future of Muslims here? Muslim children who are going to these schools, how do you think that they can keep themselves as Muslims? Because these public school, private school are not giving them ethical and moral values. They're just giving them information. Not like teachings.
Not that.
So we are struggling. I mean, the Muslim community is struggling because our children are going to these schools, and by the time they graduate, they are drifted away from religion. So what would you advise as a teacher to the parents first? What would be your advice to Muslim parents?
If we're talking within our community, a conversation within our community, I say we have to build our own institutions. So like I think the number one objective would be for us to improve the standards. And again, I don't know the Islamic schools here that well, so I don't know like how well they're performing. I know there's one by the mosque, by Jama, and I think maybe only goes to 8th grade, or maybe goes 8th or 9th grade. There may be one that goes to high school. I know a lot of parents homeschool, and I think there's some fantastic. Me as an educator, the students who have been homeschooled are some of by far the best and brightest students I've ever taught. Our homeschool students. And then under that, I would probably put of a system. I would probably put the Montessori system as something that seems to be excellent, especially for young students in the primary age level. But again, these are just academics. There's not necessarily a lot of morality or deen that goes in there. But ideally for us, we would develop institutions of knowledge, of learning, where we can have really high academic standards. And the good news is that in general, the public schools are so poor academically. In general, like it's not true. You could have your kids in public school, and they could take all of the best programs. They could be an IB, they could take AP courses, and they could be on a track for really good academic success. But in general, the standards are so low that it can't be that hard for us to compete because it's so low. Now, when you look at the Canadian education system, or you look at the Australian public education system, or even up north in like the northern parts of the U.S., those educational institutions are very good, and clearly like could outperform us any day, right? But ideally, we would create institutions. But I'm going to say this: if you can't even pay your teachers what public schools pay their teachers, which is not great, we're going to have a problem. You got to invest, right? We're going to have to invest our resources into making these things good.
So, Jason, what I've seen in the public school is that you can get students to excel in academics. Some of them would
can. Yes, you
That's
can.
fine. That's
Yes, you can.
very important.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
But at the same time, when it comes to moral values, ethical value, the same intelligent, bright student, when it comes to religion, ethic, moral, he could be a big zero. He could be.
Oh yeah, it's very
Not
common.
necessarily,
Yeah.
but so I have seen that children, after going to the public school for a long time, when they eventually graduate,
Yes.
I see that they don't show interest towards religion.
Right.
Whether Christian, Jewish,
Yeah.
Muslim, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And then you see them getting showing very little interest in going to mosques,
Yes.
churches, whatever there is. Why is that?
I see this with my own kids, and I'm from the public schools, and I taught in the public schools, and I'm in a private school now that more or less is ethically like a public school. It's not like the ethics are not better in my school than what you see in the general society. But I see it with my own children, because when you're completely surrounded by people that for the most part they don't believe in God, even if they do individually as educators, they're not allowed to discuss this. I'll give you an example that's very common amongst kids this age and this generation. That was less common in my generation, which is the rampant amount of cheating. Cheating is so insane. I'll say probably like 85% of kids probably cheat in school, to the point where like if you took them to task on it, it's like you just give up as educators, because you can't fight that wave of people that are just so common amongst society and amongst kids, and the parents know it. And the teachers know it, and there's not, unless something is blatant and some kid is not strategic and gets caught, there's not a lot that you can do even as an educator. Whereas like back in the day, if you got caught cheating, it would be a 0 for that assignment. It'd be like, there would be consequences. So we live in a society now where you can't give consequences.
Yeah.
Like to, you know what I mean? Like any type of consequence.
I remember in my high school, I did IB in high school.
Yes.
And
yeah. I was an IB teacher 15 years.
Yeah, IB was kind of tough.
Of course, it's a very hard program.
Yeah, religious people in IB, they were like made fun of a lot because, atheists, like in my opinion, they value, their own intellect.
Absolutely.
So a lot of them were atheists because they were like really smart, high achieving people, and then whenever they would see someone that's religious, they'd be like, "Oh, you're stupid. Why do you believe in something that doesn't even exist?" Because they don't see it.
For sure.
So they think, "Oh, it doesn't." It doesn't make sense, and it's really wrong that they would shame people for being religious.
Yeah, they do.
But that's how it was in my school.
And they come out of academia too, right? So like the IB program is an academia program. If you go to academia, like I would imagine the vast majority of college professors are atheists, right? Probably even the ones teaching religious studies, some of them are probably even atheists.
Mm-hmm.
So, sister, since we are going to UCF, I mean, don't you agree with this notion that religious and ethical and ethics should be part of the curriculum in public schools, especially when we are seeing what's going on in the country when it comes to the kind of trend that we see among our youth, because they go for so many years to public school, private school, and they don't learn anything about ethical, moral, or religious education. Would you agree if a movement, let's say, starts about integrating religious education into the curriculum? Would you agree with that?
I would agree, but with the nature of the United States being like secular, I feel like that wouldn't go over well with them. But personally, I would agree with that because, like, if you teach them about morals, and ethics and like religious studies, then they're gonna start picking up on some things. Like it's just fitra.
Yeah.
But the U.S. probably would not even do that, but I would agree with it. Because
they have like what they call character education. Mm-hmm. That kind of exists without a religious framework for schools, but you get a lot of pushback from families. If you try to implement this character education, you have to create like opt-out options for kids. If their families don't want them to be part of that character education. And it's not even like forcing a belief system, it's forcing like, right and wrong.
Exactly.
Okay, Brother Jason, mashallah, you are coming to the mosque nearly every day. I see you at the mosque.
Yeah, you keep putting the prayer back too early for me.
Yeah, so
it's getting harder, brother.
Very nice to see you at the mosque, and sister, you as well, coming to the mosque. tell me, how do you feel at the mosque? I mean, what are the good things and what are the
love
bad
it.
things?
I love that you guys are open for business during the pandemic. Like I said, I need this, right? I need this brotherhood, even if I don't get a chance to talk with everyone, because I'm on my way to work. Everyone's on their way to work, or some people stay and they study. So it's inspiring to me. In the same way, like I have a regimen of training where I work out and I try to stay healthy, physically fit. This is a part of my spiritual fitness. So if I take that out of my life, it's like my anchor's gone. I'm on the ship in the storm, like no anchor.
So you feel kind of welcome at the mosque, you feel like going to the mosque, you feel at ease at the mosque?
Yeah, and I've been 20 years too, so I can't say I've never, and inshallah, sister, you never have some of the instances I've had. So I've had the bad encounters. In fact, I was with a brother of mine, he's a younger brother. He had kind of gotten away from Islam. He was born into a Muslim family. He had kind of gotten away from Islam for a while. And, I've been training him as a physical trainer, personal trainer. And I said, why don't we're training early in the morning. Like we could meet 15 minutes earlier. We could pray. The mosque is right by the gym. We could pray and then go to the gym. So I finally got him going. And there's a brother that, he's kind of like a hard brother. And he's hard on people. And so we got into an argument with this young brother and I tried to tell him, I said, look, this is a brother who has almost left Islam. And you're chasing him. So I've had experiences like that as well. But I think you have to make the decision. Is like, what's more important to you, like your relationship with Allah, or like, you're gonna have these encounters.
Yeah, I know.
But you'll hit those roadblocks. I hope you never do, but I think every Muslim, you're gonna hit those roadblocks. But in general, Jama Masjid is a great community. Yeah. The brothers are nice to me there,
Yeah.
So.
No, we love seeing you there.
I'm happy to be there. Yes.
So, sister, how have your experience being in the mosque?
Being from a place where like it would take me so long to get to a mosque, I really value it a lot. I haven't had a bad experience, but alhamdulillah, I feel so welcome.
Alhamdulillah.
And it's something that I really lacked back at home, and I love that I went to UCF because the community is so large. There's mosques like 5 minutes away from me if I wanted to, and I prefer to go to the Jama Masjid even though it's farther away. But
are you closer to like UCF then?
Yeah.
Got you. Do you guys have like MSA as well?
Oh yeah, I'm the director of marketing at MSA.
Alhamdulillah, nice, very nice.
Yeah, the community is really nice, all accepting, even the MSA. Very nice